Welcome to the System Science Plenary Session. I'm Josh Semeter, and I'd like to acknowledge the two co-conveners who helped conceive this session, which is Bob Strangeway and Bill Watko. This session really grew out of, we've been talking about system science in both the CEDAR and the GEM communities both independently for years now, and it was a curious abstraction for a long time. But some realities have really made it a much more concrete concept to pursue. Among those are the fact that we are distributing sensors globally, both on the ground, and in the coming decade we'll be doing it from space as well. And so we need a framework for dealing with distributed sampling of the Geospace system. The second thing is that there are, that's not just a happy funding outcome. There are actually bona fide mysteries that can only be addressed by using system perspective on things. And so we'll hear about some of that today from the speakers. And finally, the agencies have recognized the importance of all this. And so as Rich Benke discussed on Monday, agency initiatives are kind of rallying behind kind of system science concepts. So we thought we'd put together a session that could try to address some of these things. Within the CEDAR community, we've tried to embrace this as best we can in a new vision document. And this document was really the brainchild of Jeff Thayer, who's the former CEDAR chairman. And so what I'd like to do is start the session by giving the floor to him for a few minutes to tell you something about this document. And you'll see there are stacks of these things outside, and so please pick up your own copy. So I'll hand the podium over to Jeff Thayer.
Okay, good morning. So I've been asked to culminate what took about 4 years of effort into 5 minutes of a morning plenary. And so something that was initiated back in 2007 through the process of having a CEDAR steering committee, which enables us to focus on certain aspects of aeronomy or the upper atmosphere or geospace, and enables us to then look at our field in a much broader perspective. And so this document is kind of built on 25 years of CEDAR heritage. And CEDAR has had phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 documents. And we're building on that. And this document, which is just flipping behind you some of the highlights out of the document, you've all hopefully had a chance to pick it up at out of the front desk. And please take as many as you'd like. I have more at home. I can send them along if you'd like. But what it does, again, is it helps provide some direction for the future and a way forward, as this slide shows, on how we should go about directing CEDAR for the coming decade. And I think to sum up what I would say about the document and the activity that went behind it is that what it provides is opportunity. And opportunity being that you have the opportunity to share this document with others. It's been written in a way that was supposed to help convey an understanding to those that may not be directly in our field, so that you can pass it on to your colleagues, to your dean, to your parents in some perspective, so that they can kind of see what you do in a very broad way. So the document has that type of feel to it. It was intentional to do so. The document also doesn't have any questions in it, which is kind of different than past documents of CEDAR. And the reason for that is that we were trying to build a broad vision of which the questions come from the community through the proposal process or other types of initiatives. So the idea being that we want to build this umbrella. We want to broaden the scope of our field, and then really the opportunity now is left for you to take advantage of this position and to go ahead and move forward aggressively and propose. There's no question that some of this has alignment with NSF initiatives that are much broader than what we've been experiencing in the past. And I think if some say, well, the CEDAR program has only had $1 million in its program since for the past 15 years, it's been $1 million flat all the way across, it doesn't mean that we don't have opportunities outside of CEDAR to pursue. And I think it's even better now than it has been in the past, where we can go after things like the frontiers of Earth system dynamics and things like that. These programs that are very broad, this document helps do that. So hopefully, like I said, this is an opportunity to take advantage of this opportunity, do with it what you'd like, proliferate how you may with the materials that are in here. And, but what I hope is that it helps us go forward, and it helps the students recognize kind of what they're involved in. And it's a very exciting time that we get to see our science have a much broader relevance than what maybe you appreciate by what you do in your specific discipline. So I think that's all I want to say. I only have a short amount of time. So I do want to say, though, at the end there's an acknowledgments list, and I want to acknowledge there's been a lot of people involved in this process, and it's been a very interesting process, a long process, but I think that's part of the planning is everything, plans mean nothing kind of approach, right? That you have a lot to gain from going through the planning process. I do want to say, though, that I really want to recognize the NSF program managers, and particularly Rich Benke, and the way that they really engaged in this process and really was helpful and will continue to help push this through. And I think it'll be, it's just fantastic to have that level of support at the NSF. So thank you, and I think that's all I'm going to say, Josh, in the document. So.